Sairam students, today we are going to learn Geography, 7th chapter, Rocks and Rock Types, Part 1. Before that, let's take a short recap what we had learned in our previous session. We had learned 8th chapter, Natural Resources. In it, we had learned air, soil, water, plants, animals, minerals, land, and the need for use of natural resources in a judicious manner. And today we are going to learn rocks. Now, what are rocks? We have seen last year that the earth's crust is hard. It is made of rocks and soil. Rocks are found on land surface and also below it. So students, rocks are found on land surface and below the land surface. We have seen last year that the earth's crust is hard and it is made of rocks and soil. Okay. So students, now the next. Rocks are a mixture of different minerals formed by natural processes in the lithosphere. So, by the natural processes in the lithosphere, rocks are formed and are a mixture of different minerals. Okay. The properties of rocks depend on the constituent minerals and their proportion, as well as on the formation process. Silica, aluminium, magnesium, and iron are the major rock forming minerals. There are other minerals too in different rocks. So students, silica, aluminium, magnesium and iron are the major rock forming minerals, and the properties of rocks depend on the constituent minerals. Constituent minerals means on the components of the minerals and their proportion. Proportion means equal quantity, as well as on the formation process. And there are other minerals too in different rocks. Okay. Next is types of rocks. So students, there are three types of rocks according to their formation process. First is igneous rocks, means primary rocks. Second is sedimentary rocks, and third is metamorphic rocks. So students, igneous rocks are formed from melted rock deep inside the earth. Then second, sedimentary rocks are formed from layers of sand, silt, dead plants and animals' skeletons. Third is metamorphic rocks. They are formed from other rocks that are changed by heat and pressure underground. Okay. Now the next is in formation. The interior of the earth has very high temperature. As a result, the material in this part is in the molten state. Sometimes this material gets released through the fissures in the crust. This is called a volcano. Lava, gases, dust, ashes, etc. are thrown out during volcanic eruptions. So students, the interior of the earth has very high temperature, and as a result, the material in this part is in the molten state, means in the liquid form. Sometimes this material gets released through the fissures in the crust. Fissures means a narrow opening or cracks in the crust. Okay, this is called a volcano. lava, gases, dust, ashes, etc. are thrown out during volcanic eruptions. Okay. So students, now the next is igneous rocks. When the molten material known as magma within the crust and lava on the surface cools down, it solidifies, giving rise to rocks. These are known as igneous rocks. So students, when the molten material, I told you molten means, yes, liquid form, or you can say red hot liquid material known as magma within the crust and lava on the surface cools down, it solidifies, means becomes hard, giving rise to rocks. These are known as igneous rocks. Now the next, as these rocks are formed out of the materials from the interior of the earth, these are also referred to as primary rocks. Mostly, these rocks appear hard and homogeneous. These are heavy as well. We do not get fossils in these rocks. So students, these rocks are formed out of the materials from the interior of the earth. Means the red hot molten material what comes out from the earth. These are also referred to as primary rocks. Mostly these rocks appear hard and homogeneous. Now homogeneous means similar type, you can say. Okay. These are heavy as well. We do not get fossils in these rocks. So students, fossils means the remains or impression of a prehistorical plant or animals. Okay. Now the next, the Maharashtra Plateau and the Sahyadris are formed out of igneous rocks. Basalt is a major example of igneous rock. So students, basalt is a major example of igneous rock, and the Maharashtra Plateau and the Sahyadris are formed out of igneous rocks. Okay. So students, next is pumice stone. You can see the picture of pumice stone. Now, a very light and porous volcanic rock formed when a gas-rich froth of gassy lava solidifies rapidly is known as pumice stone. So, students, pumice is an example of igneous rock. This is formed out of volcanic froth. It is a porous rock. As its density is quite low, it can float on water. So, students, this stone, its density is quite low and so it can float on water. Okay. This is formed out of volcanic froth. Volcanic froth means small bubbles in the liquefied form, or you can say foam of the soap. Okay. Then pumice is an example of igneous rock. Okay. It is a porous rock. Now what is porous? Porous means you can see small holes on the rock, okay, from where the air can pass. So that is known as porous rock. Now the next is, most of the hill forts in Maharashtra have lakes or elephant yards. Actually, these are old quarry sites. Rock was extracted from these sites and used for the construction of the fort and other buildings. In the pits and dugouts left behind after rock extraction, water was allowed to accumulate. And these lakes, tanks, etc. were created. So students, most of the hill forts in Maharashtra have lakes or elephant yards. Okay. Now actually these are old quarry sites. Now students, quarry sites. Quarry is a place where rocks, sands or minerals are extracted from the surface of the earth and used for the construction of the fort and other buildings. In the pit and dugouts left behind after rock extraction, means removing of the rock, water was allowed to accumulate, and in this way lakes, tanks, etc. were created on the forts. Okay, so students, this is the picture of reservoir on a fort. So what is reservoir? Yes, it is an artificial lake where water is collected and kept in quantity for use. Okay. So students, what we have learned today? We have learned rocks and types of rocks. In it, we had learned the first one, that is igneous rocks, means primary rocks. Okay. So that's all for today. Sai Ram. Thank you.